Hey Legionnaires, and welcome back. We're here with another Rise of Mordor video for you today, and this is the Harad unit overview. It's been a little while since we've done a unit overview on the channel, and yeah, I felt like we'd do another one. I thought we'd do another one here today because Harad's basically done. I've done many videos now with Harad featuring in them, and I felt like now's the time. I've got a good understanding of Harad. Feel like we can go over their units and kind of just like give them a bit of an analysis. So anyway, we'll be starting with the swords, then we've got spears, shock, then we have ranged units, then we have cavalry, and then we have any special units as well. And I'm sure if you've watched a few videos, you know what sort of special units I'm talking about. But anyway, we will start here with the basic and work our way up to the most elite, and we'll do that for every single category from like swords all the way back to like cavalry. So anyway, we've got the Muhad Clubman here, and these are light melee infantry. They are actually pretty good in, like, they've got some pretty good melee stats here. They've got, I mean, 31's not too bad. It's not going to be world beating, but it's pretty good for a light melee infantry. They've got good missile block, average armor, it says here, and poor melee defense. I mean, you can tell from their, I mean, they got average armor, which I'm kind of surprised with because they have literally no clothes on. But I guess they got a big shield, and they've got to have some sort of defense against missiles. But I mean, yeah, armor's actually at 55, which is kind of surprising. I'm going to be surprised what anything else has got. I mean, this is kind of the benchmark now, 55. I mean, these guys are literally nothing, so we'll have to see what else everyone else in 85 health. Melee defense is pretty low at 29. But they are kind of like more of a shock unit. They're not literally a shock infantry unit, but that's how I definitely use them. Certainly have them going in more on the flanks. I won't want these guys holding a front line, that is for sure. Morale is at 34 at the base. It says 43 there, it's just with all the various buffs. The speed is at 34. I'm kind of surprised it's not higher, being a light melee infantry unit, but it's yeah, they're quite quick, and they've got 55 missile block chance, which is actually incredibly high, I think, for a light melee infantry unit. I know, yes, they've got a big shield, but still, that big shield can't cover their entire body. So yeah, that is the Muhad Clubman. They're a trained infantry units. They're actually pretty handy unit to have. But anyway, we will move on to the Corsair Marines here, who these guys look awesome. They really, really do. Look at these guys. I mean, the artwork on some of these guys, by the way, is amazing. Like all like the little tattoos, all the little details up there. Oh, it's great. It really is. I mean, they've got like little daggers down here. I mean, some of them have got like grappling hooks for weapons. It's awesome. Imagine, I don't know how you'd use this in combat, but there you go. Anyway, we've got the Corsair Marines here. These are a medium melee infantry unit. These guys actually have poor missile block, good melee defense, and poor armor. These guys have poor armor, and they're a medium melee infantry. I'm pretty sure like how heavy you are depends on what armor you've got. These guys definitely have 40 armor. That's less than what the Muhad Clubmen have. So that's insane. The melee attacks at 31, which I'm pretty sure is, yeah, it's very similar to the Muhad Clubman. Melee damage, yeah, that's, yeah, I mean, we didn't really look at that for the last one, but melee defense is 42. That's a massive increase in comparison to the Muhad Clubman. So we're definitely getting an increase there. You can see that missile block chance down at 15, which is incredible. Like, these guys definitely, yeah, easy to focus down and kill with your bowman. But I'm surprised because these guys actually have some clothing on, maybe some to stop an arrow, maybe. But I guess their shield is much smaller, so that's probably what comes into it. Morale is probably at 34 again, yep. And their speed's at 34, so that's kind of the standard health at 85. So yeah, these guys, I wouldn't necessarily bring these guys, but I mean, maybe if they just need like something, if you've got a few hundred left, these guys might be worth paying for, and you know, having a look at what they like. Holding a choke point or something like that. These guys are probably quite useful for it. Along with the Muhad Clubman, they may be useful for holding a choke point. Depends on how you really play with Harad. I don't intend to really bring the lower tier stuff. I don't think it's that great. I think it's just going to break very quickly. I'd rather bring slightly higher tier stuff and bring less of it. I also will just say that I am planning to do a like at the end of this video, I plan to show you a few rosters that I put together for like sieges or battles. So that is so definitely stick around for seeing. To check that out. But also, if you're enjoying just seeing Rise of Mordor content, I would like to see some more. Do remember to leave a like, subscribe if you're around here, and a comment to show your support. As always, guys, it's very much appreciated. But anyway, now we're moving on to the more mainline infantry. This is Haradrim Swords. These guys are relatively cheap. They're about 700 in price, and you get good melee defense. You get average missile block chance and average armor. So these guys are actually pretty handy. They're not going to beat much, but they can hold the line certainly. If you put them in shield wall as well, they'll definitely hold the line for a good while. While your other areas of your like army can try and do really, really well and win you the game. So yeah, this is a very good cheap option for Harad if you need to bring it. It's certainly, yeah, it probably could beat maybe like Ringlow Vale, maybe some like Orc Warriors or something like that. They probably like do well up against, but certainly not like the top tier swords. They will get shredded by. But anyway, their melee attack is at 32, so it's slightly better. Melee damage at 38, so they're much increased from the Corsairs. Melee defense at 38, which is actually slightly down. I'm pretty sure the Corsairs were something like 43, so they are slightly down there. Armor at 55, much increased there. You can see we're sort of back to what the Muhad Clubman had. Missile block chance at 55, looking very, very good there. So yeah, they've got some pretty good. I mean, they're also like, they're got basic morale 34, speed 34, just seems like standard stuff. But yeah, they're a pretty handy unit to have, again, trained. And now we move on to the final sword unit. The final sword unit here being the Umber Usurpers. These guys probably one of the finest looking sword units in the game. I think they look really, really good. I'm really love like the style they've gone for with these guys. Like I said, I always say these guys kind of remind me of like the Greyjoys a bit. Not necessarily with their armor, but just with their color scheme of black and gold. Just seems like, and they're also seafaring. Both like factions are seafaring in their respective universes. But anyway, the Umber Usurpers are heavy melee infantry. No very heavy melee infantry for Harad, and their roster is stuck with these heavy ones. These guys are also limited. You can only ever bring 3 of these guys in a normal match because of unit caps, unless you like take unit caps off. But yeah, Umber Usurpers, very, very good unit. You probably want to bring all 3 of these guys if you can afford them, because they've got melee attack of 37, melee damage 36, 52 melee defense, really, really good in defense. Armor at 75. Their morale, I mean, it says 49 there, but it's not going to be. It's going to be 38. Speed at 30, so they are slightly down because they're a bit heavier, and the missile block chance at 40. So still, Muhad Clubman bizarrely have the highest missile block chance, but probably one of the most poorly armored units around. Certainly in like how heavy they are. But yeah, so this is a really, really good unit. Definitely recommend bringing this. This is going to be the main backbone of your sword infantry, probably playing as Harad. You often see these guys being brought. But anyway, we will now move on to the spears. And here we are with the spears. Again, like I said, we will be starting from the weakest and working our way up. So we are here with the desert spears. They look pretty nice. I think they look very similar to sort of like vanilla sort of spear infantry a bit. Certainly with like the head masks and stuff like that. They look, and the Bedouin sort of look to them, but they do look really, really cool. I mean, they have obviously got the very iconic sort of like Haradrim looking spears here. And they've got obviously like the artwork as well. I mean, just all the little details like that really, really do help with this mod. Anyway, this is a light spear unit. It's actually got excellent melee defense, which is actually no surprise because it is a spear unit. They're at 39. I wouldn't have said that was excellent if you look at something like the Umber Usurpers, but I mean, I guess it's excellent for a spear unit. For a light spear unit as well. Very poor armor, that's no surprise being a light unit there. As you can see, their armor down at 30. That's not going to be doing them any good. These guys are going to probably get cut through very, very quickly. This again, probably like, I'd probably use this unit if I was playing in a land battle maybe, and I had like a bit left over, and I was like, I really want some spears to support my cav. That would be what I'd maybe use this purpose for. I don't even think in like a siege. This unit's going to do too well. Unless you're playing like lower funds, it may be able to hold a choke point with archer support perhaps. But you can see melee attack at 20. It's not going to be doing great on the attack. Defense is certainly its primary purpose. Melee damage at 27. Health at 80, which like we said is sort of a standard. Morale is at 38 it says, but it's going to be down at 27. Yeah, these guys are breaking quickly. They're 190 in a unit as well. So the larger the unit, usually the poorer the unit is. Missile block is at 45. That shield is probably helping them a little bit there. And the speed's at 36. So actually the quickest unit we've found so far for Harad. Only just. But yeah, so yeah, like I said, probably using these guys maybe supporting a cav fight. Once you get them in like against cav, I imagine they do pretty well. So yeah, that's certainly what I'd be using them for in this scenario. But we will move on to the next unit here, which is the Muhad Beast Tamers, and these guys look amazing. Oh, I mean, the Muhad units probably look the best with like the face paint they have on and stuff like that. I mean, it just looks great. It really, really does. And I'm really glad these guys got added because they often get forgotten about, I think, because you don't really see them in the movies. Certainly like a third age unit that's been obviously brought across to Rise of Mordor. I really love them. But anyway, I mean, you sort of see them, I guess, riding the Mummuks, but that's about it. Yeah, Muhad Beast Tamers, good missile block chance, good melee defense and average armor. You're already we're straight to heavy. Look at that. We're straight to heavy with these guys. Very, very good. Melee attack at 41, and then we have melee damage at 36. Melee defense at 43, so already massively improved from those Desert Spears. 65 armor. It's got to be one of the strongest armors we found around for most units. It's really, really good. Missile block is at 55, like the other Muhad unit. Those clubmen, they have that big shield, so they can obviously afford to use it. Speed at 32, so obviously a bit reduced because they're a heavy unit. And then morale's pretty good. 38. These guys, these guys are pretty versatile, I feel. Looking at their stats and how I've seen them in battle. You can use them in a siege, put them in a choke point if you need to. You can obviously put them into support against cav fights in a land battle. You can have them hold like a line in a land battle potentially as well. But yeah, so these are definitely worth bringing. Certainly if you have like the money, I would bring these instead of bringing the Desert Spears. I certainly would not be bringing them. But yeah, Muhad Beastmen I've seen brought quite a lot actually in land battles, and I certainly feel like these guys are very, very effective. But anyway, we will move on to the next spear, which is over here. When I get through all these beast tamers, here they are. This is the final spear. We've got the Haradrim Spears here. Again, this is a heavy unit, so you don't have any sort of mediums. You go straight from light to heavy with the Haradrim, and that is it. And as you can see here, excellent melee defense, excellent armor, and good missile block chance. I mean, it's at that 55 again. That's the best we've found around. 55 missile block chance, very, very good. I mean, their melee attack is at 31, so they're at like the same level as like a Muhad Beastman for like melee attack, which is pretty impressive for a spear unit. In fairness, their like melee defense at 54. Boy, you're not breaking through these guys. That's very, very good stats there. Again, a perfect unit to be throwing into a choke point. These guys will definitely hold in a choke point for a very long time. And if you give them archer support as well, even better. And then you've got armor at 80. That's again really, really good. I mean, armor at 80, health 80. Yeah, it's gonna be tough to break through these guys with archer fire. That is for sure. Speed at 32 again because of like their heaviness, and their base morale at 38. Again, one of the highest what we've seen there. So yeah, you're gonna have a tough time breaking these guys. But again, obviously the best way to get through like any spears, as we all know, is shock infantry. So that is obviously their main warriors facing them. But yeah, in a choke point with archer support, maybe they have a chance against shock infantry. Who knows? Talking of shock infantry, we will now move on to the shock infantry. So here we are. We are here with the shock infantry now, and we are working with the worst up to the best again. And this is a Haradrim Glaives, similarly named after the Dol Guldur Glaives. I didn't know if they were just, but they do have a very similar sort of weapon going on. I mean, if we just have a quick look at it, you can see it's up there. It's a very like sort of curved sort of blade. It does remind me of like the Dol Guldur sort of glaives and their blades. But yeah, they are pretty damn scary looking. And this is the cheapest shock infantry you can bring. It's still fairly effective. Melee attack at 34, so better than most swords and spears. Obviously, melee damage at 45. That's very good. It's the highest that we've seen so far. You are going to see shock infantry damage go skyrocketing in comparison to some of the other units we looked at. But yeah, their melee defense down at 26. Shock infantry is not great on the defense. It's an offensive unit. You're sending it in usually in a choke point to either take the choke point or to hold it. Like to retake it sort of thing. If you've just lost it, you send these guys in to maybe try and retake it from the attackers. Their armor down at 25. Yeah, these guys, if they get shot at with archers, they're going down quickly. These guys are not great. Health at 80 as it's standard. And morale, I mean, it's 45, says there, but yeah, 34. So a very standard sort of look. Their speed at 34 and missile block chance at 10. Yeah, so like I said, these guys are not going to be doing great if you put a few volleys into them. They're going to be dropping very, very quickly. But anyway, we'll move on from them, and we're now on to these are the Serpent Warriors. These guys, I often bring these guys to a siege battle, to be honest. They're not too bad. They're heavy shock infantry. Moved on from medium now, and we've got excellent melee attack here, and we've got very poor missile block chance, very poor armor. Melee attack now at 48, so we've greatly improved. Melee damage still at 45. They've got a very similar sort of weapon to the glaive, so I guess that's why they haven't bothered to change that. Melee defense has gone up though. We're now at 31. Armor is at 25. So again, we're kind of still lacking in that department, which is no surprise because it's a shock infantry. It is kind of relying on just going in hard. It's not really bothering about protecting itself. And then you got that morale's at 49 here, so it's going to be slightly increased. We're at 38 now, so I mean they do last a little bit longer in combat. They won't break as quickly. Speed's at 32 and still got missile block chance of 10. So they have all the same stats there as the Glaives. But yeah, I definitely bring these guys because the next unit that we'll look at, you're only limited to so many. And I feel like Harad really is like, it's a bit like Dol Guldur. It strives on having really good shock infantry. I wouldn't say these are excellent shock infantry, what we're looking at right now, but you can bring a lot of it. This one is uncapped, so you could bring 5-6 of these guys if you had the right money. You could just bring all shock infantry and do a Dol Guldur and kind of just overwhelm the enemy like that. Kind of effective in a siege if you decide as a team, like as Harad, I'll bring all the shock. Say like, I don't know, Gondor, if you were playing with Gondor for instance on your side, they could bring all the swords. And then you could have like, I don't know, elves or something like that, bring like the bows. You could just kind of like do it like that and kind of have like categorize your armies like that, really. And that's not a bad way to play it, especially when you have like units like this, which Harad can bring. This is the final shock infantry unit, which I'm going to try and say their name. I'm pretty sure you say Aduna Nakori or something like that. I probably butchered the name, but they're a very heavy shock infantry. Elite as well, the first elite unit that we have seen here for Harad. Got 120 men in the unit. So it's still a fairly large unit, even for elite. Excellent melee attack, good melee defense, average armor. Average armor is got a green up there. I mean, that would probably be like, for some other units, but for shock infantry, pretty good to have average armor. I mean, it's there at 60. That's a lot more than any of the other shock infantry we looked at had. But melee attack at 54, that's a massive number there. This unit rips. And I mean rips through most things. This is probably the scariest shock infantry on the battlefield at the moment. I'd hands down say this thing is lethal. I put it above like Berserkers. I put it above I don't know, any of like the Noldorian swords, like anything like that. Probably put it above any of the Dwarven shock infantry as well. Really nasty stuff. But yeah, melee damage at 47, again a big increase there. Melee defense at 43, so it can look after itself as well. If it does get charged, it can kind of look after itself. Its armor at 60, so it's going to take a little bit of time to actually focus fire through this unit, but you do eventually. If you kind of concentrate with 2 or 3 arch units, probably after one volley, on the second volley you'll probably start to knock these guys down pretty quickly. Health at 90, so it's got a little bit of an increase on that bonus, on that like it's got a little bonus there on that health. Usually everyone has that basic 80. These guys have a little bit more. Morale, I mean, it says 63 here, but that's going to be, yeah, 54. These guys are not breaking at all. That base morale of 54, boy, they are not breaking at all. These guys do last like the last 10 or so men, if they're not like being surrounded by anything or being charged by cavalry or elephants or something like that. These guys will do fine. Speed at 30, they are very heavy, that is acceptable. But I mean, still 30 is not too, like, it still moves around fairly quickly on a battlefield. Missile block chance at 35 as well. So they have got a little bit of an increase on, like, the other shock infantry units. They have about 25 more, I think. Most had about 10. So these guys, yeah, they can do pretty well. They'll hold their own. And yeah, like I said, they rip through a lot of things. They are really nasty. But yeah, we will now move on from the shock infantry and move on to the shock infantry's foe, which is the archers. So I'll see you guys in a moment. And here we are with the archers. I've also got javelins in here because I feel like they're fairly similar. We'll throw them in. There's no need to have like a subcategory for javelins. So we have archers here and javelins. These are the desert bowmen. This is, again, as you can see, a bit of a pattern forming. If you look at like the spears, we have desert spears there. We have desert bowmen. These are the weakest around for the Haradrim. These are light bows. They have very poor armor, very poor missile block chance, very poor accuracy. These guys not really got a lot going for them. They are light bows, so they can move around pretty quick. They haven't got really a lot going for them. I mean, the melee attack 17, melee damage 25, melee defense 20. I mean, they're never going to have anything insane there. They are an arch unit after all. They've got 80 health, missile block chance at 10. So yeah, that's like similar to sort of like a shock infantry has. Morale 20, so yeah, again, they're probably breaking pretty quickly. Even after a few volleys, these guys break. I mean, they've got 190 men. Like I said, the larger the unit, the worse it is usually in Rise of Mordor. Ammunition 16 and 160 range and 4 accuracy. So yeah, nothing really good going for them. So we'll quickly move on for them and move on to the Corsair Archers, which are a little bit better. These guys are medium bow infantry. They have melee attack of 21, melee damage of 25, melee defense 20. They've got very poor missile block chance, very poor armor, and very poor melee defense, as we've kind of already seen. Armor at 30, so they've got a little bit more than the desert bowmen. Health at 80, missile block chance at 15, so again, a slight bit of an improvement. Morale is ever so slightly better, 25, but again, these guys are probably breaking pretty quickly after a few volleys. Their ammunition's at 18, which I think is a slight improvement. I think it's like 2 improvement on what the the Desert Bowmen have. Their range is 160 and their accuracy is 15. So again, already, like, these guys cost a little bit more than the Desert Bowmen. And already you're getting, like, nearly 4 times your accuracy in, like, from these Corsair Archers. So these guys are definitely much better to bring than, say, the Desert Bowmen. And also, they're not too bad. I mean, I've seen them being brought and they've been used fairly effectively. But now we're moving on to something that most people bring, which is the Haradrim Archers. These are kind of like your more mid-tier stuff. Still pretty terrible. I mean, they look awesome, though. They really do. I mean, the artwork and, like, how much detail these guys have gone in, like, done on these. I mean, they look amazing. Like, just look at this chest press here. Like, this bit on the chest here. It's amazing. Like, all the detail just gone in there. It's just, oh. And it looks like really, like, shabby or something like that. But that's like what the Harajum would have been like. They're not like got excellent armor. They're just kind of like put together what purpose and what works in the desert. So yeah, so it looks awesome. It really does. But yeah, these guys got very poor missile block chance, very poor armor, very poor melee defense. Again, not really a lot going for them. Melee attack here at 21, 25, and 20. They're all similar stats there. Those ones I've just listed off, those top 3. To what the Desert Bowmen have. Their armor's at 25, which is again a slight increase on the other 2 that we've seen. Missile block chance back down to 10. Their morale, it says 36, but I'm going to say that'll be 25 again. So yeah, then again, archers, they're not really known for standing their ground once something charges them. They do break pretty quickly. Ammunition at 18, range at 160, and accuracy at 15. So you're not really getting much difference for your bang for your buck. With like these guys, I think they are slightly more expensive. I think it's just because you're a bit more armored. You honestly might be better bring Corsairs because they're slightly cheaper. You get the same accuracy, you get more armor, you get more missile block chance, and they have the same morale. Only get really a little bit more armor with these guys here that we're looking at. So yeah, but yeah, most people, I see quite a lot of people bringing these Haradrim Archers to the battlefield. Then we have the Serpent Archers. This is kind of where you're getting to more of the elite stuff here. We've got heavy bows. Heavy bows on the go right now here. So I mean, we'll have a quick look at these guys. I mean, they look awesome. They really, really do. I mean, the armor for these guys just looks, yeah, 10 out of 10. Really is. But anyway, we'll quick look at their stats. So we've got 26 melee attack. So again, we're seeing a slight increase here. I mean, they are a heavy bow. They do deserve a little bit better. They do have average accuracy. They have poor missile block chance still and poor melee defense, which is no surprise. An archer doesn't deserve to have good melee defense. It is down at 26. Again, it's a slight improvement, but nothing too crazy. Armor at 45. So these guys can kind of like take a few volleys. Still nothing like that insane. Nothing like a Gondor Archer's armor. Missile block chances at 20, so they can miss a few and stuff like that. They're a little bit better improved there. Morale is at 40, so that's going to be something like 34, I think, or 29. There you go, 29 morale. So again, a slight improvement. So they can take a few volleys. They can take in reasonable amount of losses, and their range. This is the most important thing. Their range has improved. We're now gone from 160 to 175. These guys have a little bit more range. This is what you want to spend your extra money on. That 15 range could make or break a game. You never know. May give you the first shots on an enemy, and always sometimes the first volley is the most key one to winning you that range battle. Accuracy at 29 as well, so you can now increase like your accuracy massively. You've doubled your accuracy almost with these guys. So yeah, definitely worth bringing these Serpent Archers. Either these guys or the Black Serpent Rangers that we're now looking at. These guys are a range unit. I mean, something to compare to the Athelian Rangers maybe, or something like that. Harad's just like counter to them maybe, who knows. But yeah, these guys are a light bow infantry. They are elite as well. They have very poor missile block chance. They are a range unit after all. If they get hit by an arrow, these guys are going down. They've not got great like armor in that sense either. They've only got 30 armor, which is worse than the Serpent Archers, but it's definitely better than some of the other ones we've seen before. Melee attack at 44 as well. So these guys can actually fight in combat. Rangers are actually very good in combat, as long as they're not being charged before. If they're like, if you're throwing them into like an ongoing combat, they'll do okay. They'll hold the line. And yeah, they've got good melee defense as well. I mean, unless they're being charged by something like cavalry or infantry maybe also as well, depending on the infantry. 44, that's pretty good. Melee damage at 36, pretty good. Morale, I mean, it's up at 60. But yeah, there's 49 there. That's pretty good. These guys aren't breaking anytime soon either. Missile block chance down at 15. So again, we're back down to sort of like shock infantry level of like missile block. Accuracy at 39. So yeah, massively improved, and the range at 175. I'm surprised it's not actually up something like 180 because they're a range unit. Rangers probably should have better range than anyone else. Either that or they need to decrease Serpent Archers. I'm not sure. I would definitely be trying to put that up. And ammunition's at 24, so they have more arrows to fire at people. Even more useful than something like a siege. And they have health at 90, so they've got that little extra as well, being an elite unit. Anyway, we'll move on to the final unit, which is the Muhad Hunters. These are a javelin unit. They look amazing. Like I just say, for every like Muhad unit at the moment, they look amazing. They got poor accuracy. They are throwing a javelin after all. It's kind of hard to throw that and get it very accurate in comparison to a bow and arrow. Melee attack at 28, melee damage at 38 was actually pretty good for like a javelin unit. I'm kind of surprised it's that high. Their melee defense is at 35, so also not too bad. Armor at 40, health at 85, so actually got a little increase on the average there. Their missile block chance at 45, which is actually pretty good. I mean, most of the Muhad units, they've got incredibly good missile block. Very, very good to bring for that sake. The morale's at 45, it's 34, so again, not doing too bad there. Ammunition at 8, they are a javelin unit after all. So they don't have many javelins. I'm surprised they can hold 8, to be honest. But they can. Range at 60. So yeah, obviously you can't throw a javelin as far as you can throw an archer's unit. So this is like, you got to get these boys up and nice and close and try and do as much damage as possible. I try and use them in things like either choke points, as long as you don't have any archers in that choke point that could oppose you. Or just using them into maybe supporting cavalry fights is also a pretty good way to use them as well. Accuracy at 15, yeah, it's kind of hard to throw a javelin accurately. You're kind of just throwing it into a big blob really. So, and that's another way you can use it, just throwing it into big blobs and you'll hit stuff pretty quickly. But yeah, that is now all the range units. We will move on to the cavalry units and then the special units as well. So I'll see you guys in a moment. And of course, we are back. And of course, Harad, being a desert faction, they deserve some camels. So here we go. We've got the camel cavalry here. We have camel riders. They're a medium cavalry unit. They're 85 strong, which is I think slightly larger than average. I think it is. Yeah, 85 is definitely slightly larger than average. Like average cavalry unit size, I'm pretty sure. They've got good melee defense, average missile block chance, and poor armor. I don't know if they have got it in this mod, but I know camels notoriously are quite good at scaring cavalry. I don't know if they have that. Actually, I think they do. It's down here. Yeah, scare horses. Yeah, camels scare horses. I'm really glad they kept that in because it's such a useful unit. So yeah, these guys are actually pretty good at anti-cav units in certain ways. Like they're camel riders. Basically, you just send these guys in. They'll scare up any horsemen that come against them. But yeah, good melee defense. Average missile block chance and poor armor. No surprise they have poor armor. These are like massive camels. They're not armored. If you shot the camel, like the rider's going down with his mount. But 32 melee attack, melee defense at 38 is not. Yeah, it's pretty good. Charge bonus at 50. We've got to keep an eye on this. But yeah, they're a melee cav unit. They're not gonna have insane like charging. Melee damage 38. Their armor's at 55, which I mean for saying that's poor armor, that's kind of like quite high. Health at 160, morale is at 28, speed at 65, and missile block chance at 45. So some pretty good stats there. I personally quite like them just because they can scare cav. They're quite useful there. Haradrim Lancers. So we are onto the shock cav very quickly. That is, I think, the only melee cav that they have is a camel unit. But now we're straight onto shock cav. And the Haradrim Lancers here. These are just basically Mordor used to have these guys as well, but they've reskinned them. And I'm pretty sure Mordor doesn't have them anymore now anyway. But yeah, they've now just reskinned them and repurposed them for the Harad faction. And they look amazing. I think they look really good. They've got very poor melee defense, very poor armor, and poor missile block chance though. They're also 85 in size. So maybe that is just the normal size. I don't know. But medium shock cav. Yeah, I mean, they're actually quite like poorly armored for a medium shock cav. Maybe make them light and make them super quick. I mean, they're already at 75 in speed, which is pretty good. Health at 160, melee defense at 13, sorry, which is no surprise. Shock cav is known for just being good in attack, not really in defense. So you want to try and get them in and out as quickly as possible to do another charge. 32 in melee attack and melee damage at 36. Charge bonus at 80. We've seen an increase there from the camels. This is a shock cav after all. And yeah, I mean, it's morale at 28. So I mean, they've got some okay stats. But yeah, they're not really the shock cav you're going to be bringing. You're probably going to be bringing these boys, the Serpent Guards. I really like the look of these guys. They definitely look like the Serpent Guards from Third Age, and I'm glad that they kind of carried that over into Rise of Mordor. I mean, these guys look amazing. They really, really do. Elite shock cav. They've got excellent melee attack, very poor melee defense, but good charge bonus. They've got 100 charge bonus. I mean, the melee attacks are 52. That's up there with like the really elite shock infantry, the Aduna and Nakori. And then you've got the melee damage down there at 32, and you've got 12 melee defense. It's not that's not really that great. They are not going to be doing anything amazing there. Armor at 55 is okay. Health 170, and their morale's at 49. Well, actually, that's base is 38. So yeah, they'll hold for a fair amount of time. They're only heavy shock cav, which is the concerning thing. Harad has no very heavy shock cav, like a lot of factions do have. Say like Gondor, for instance, which is obviously like their neighbour. And their speed at 75, and their missile block chance at 30. I feel like the speed maybe for the Harad could be pushed up a little bit, but that's just a personal opinion. I think they're known for their horses and stuff like that. They could maybe have a bit more speed. But anyway, we're down to the bow cav or the range cav. So we have Haradrim horse archers here, looking very similar to the Lancer variant, just got a bow in hand instead. But yeah, these guys are medium bow cav, but they have pretty poor stats, to be honest, for medium bow cav. They have very poor armor, they have poor melee attack, poor accuracy. As you can see there, I mean, armor at 25, not going to be stopping much if they get shot by like an arch unit. The best way to counter cav is to use, like horse cav, is just to use archers. Speed is 95 though, that's very quick. These guys, like horse archers, very, very quick. It's good to see. Ammunition 18, accuracy 15, I mean, you are firing from a horse. I guess range 160, so they're actually like got the same range as like a normal arch unit, like the Corsairs or the like Haradrim Archers. It's pretty incredible, to be fair. Health at 160 and armor at 25, and all their other stats are in their 20s, which aren't that great. And then you've got the Desert Raiders here. This is a Javi cav unit. So I mean, they look awesome. They kind of look like the Desert Spears, but on horseback. They've got a 95-man unit, so yep, the larger the unit, the worse it is. Very poor armor, very poor accuracy, poor melee attack. I mean, these guys kind of remind me of the Dunland Javi cav that Isengard has. Yeah, their speed's at 95, the accuracy is 4, so they're not really going to hit much. Ammunition 8, range at 60, and their armor's 5. I mean, if you're bringing these guys, you're probably playing in a very low, like not low tier, low funded game, so you may be better using these guys if you get the chance just like to hammer and anvil like units, maybe hammer and anvil like levy units or light units, because even though it's like a light skirmish cav unit, it's still a cav unit and it can do a lot of damage to morale for like poor units on the opponent's side. But anyway, we will now move on to obviously the special unit, which everyone knows what the special unit is in this game. For Harad, it's the baby mumma kill, soon to be replaced by the larger mumma kill when they get around to it. But yeah, these guys look amazing with their Muhad rider looking amazing. I mean, I don't know, there's nothing to compare it to the baby mumma kill, so we'll just go through some of the stats. But it's got devastating charge, it's got poor melee defense, poor melee attack, which is kind of surprised there's poor melee attack. You aren't really supposed to keep this unit in combat. The best thing to do is to keep it moving like a chariot. Treat it like a chariot. Melee damage is at 150, it kills something instantly. It's killing whatever it hits instantly. Charge bonus 100, melee defense 5. Armor at 25, yes, a massive elephant, it's kind of hard to armor it. Morale is at 65 at that, but it is base 54. It's probably not really breaking. I usually see these guys all die before they break. Best way to kill them obviously is spears and archers and pikes. Just in case you're wondering. Speed at 55, so it's pretty quick. Missile damage at 31. They do have obviously missile capability. They have the archers in the top. As you can see here, some Muhad bowmen. And then we've got ammunition 24, which is also, I guess, pretty handy to know how much they have there. How much ammo they have. They are also an elite unit. But yeah, just treat these guys as a chariot and just keep them moving through a unit, like whatever it hits. Just keep it running either like through that unit or back the way it came, and you should keep these guys around for a long time. They can get 200-300 kills easily, 400-500 very possible as well in most games. But yeah, that is all of the units, and I will now quickly go over some potential rosters you guys could make in battles if you want to play this faction. So here we are back on the on the custom battle page, and you can see all the rosters here. We went through all of these units here, and yeah, I mean, you've got a good selection. Harad's probably one of the most beefed out rosters really in Rise of Mordor, I'd say. They've very much completed it. And obviously that's good to see. So I mean, you got 4 different general units. I choose to usually bring like a Serpent Guard general. I will put the funds at what we usually play. I mean, we usually play about 17,500 nowadays, down from the 20,000. I think that's perfectly fine for Harad. Harad's got fairly cheap units. Like I said, I bring the 3 Umber Usurpers. I'd obviously bring the 3 Aduna Nakori. These guys I think are key. Like doesn't matter what the funds are, you need to bring these 3 units, these 6 units if you can. I'd also probably be bringing my Serpent Guards here. I can only bring 3. I've got 2 for general and 2 there. So I'd probably also, because usually we have 4 cav as a limit, I would probably bring a Haradrim Lancer. Or maybe a Camel Rider, but I think I'll bring a Lancer today. They are not that great, but maybe against lower tier infantry they might do okay. Or you may choose to instead bring an Elephant. So we'll go with that, because I don't usually bring them. I don't usually have much luck with them. I'd then probably bring some more Serpent Warriors. I think, like I said, Harad is really good in its shock infantry. It's what its strengths are. I'd probably bring Serpent Archers. You can usually probably bring about 4 as your limit. And then, I mean, we've got 650 left. I don't know. I think we'll bring some Muhad Clubmen just for like a light unit. See if we can get it around the back. I mean, its melee attack is not too bad. And what abilities he's got there? Resistant to heat. Well, that's no use in this in a land battle usually. But yeah, that's very handy, I guess, in like a campaign or something like that, perhaps. But yeah, that's a potential one you can bring. If we're doing a siege, it's usually 20,000 for the attackers. So we'll say that Harad's attacking in this siege. I probably bring again a Serpent Guard general. I probably bring the same 6 key infantry that you're going to need. Again, I probably bring 3 Serpent Warriors. I'd maybe bring a few Haradrim as well. Instead this time, maybe bring 3 of these, because I think you need quite a decent amount of sword infantry, and I don't think the Muhad Clubmen really do justice in a choke point battle. They're not going to get many kills. I'd probably bring my 4 Serpent Archers again. I would probably bring maybe 1 cav here, and then I bring a Mummock, and then I'd just make some upgrades maybe for my cav, or maybe for my Mummock, whatever I fancied, or maybe for my really elite shock. Who knows? We just did that, then we can give all the really elite shock some chevrons. And there you go, that's the potential army for a siege on attack. And then if we were to siege on the defense, then it would be like 15,000. So then, I don't know, you could do something similar. I'd probably bring the 3 Usurpers again. I'd probably bring these again. Maybe go with my 4 Serpent Archers, or maybe I'd bring, because I probably want to bring some more effective. I think Archers on defense, you can bring the lower tier stuff, because you kind of got the advantage on defense. I'd maybe bring a couple of spears, maybe a cav, and then, I don't know, maybe I wouldn't. Maybe I'd bring 2 of that one, 2 cheaper cav units. And then maybe also bring just some cheap shock infantry as well. And that's a decent roster for a defense. It's nothing. Obviously, other people have their opinions of what you could bring. And it depends on like what other factions you're playing against as well. It really does depend. But there's some basic rosters you can put together that could potentially work for you guys. Obviously, you may want to bring artillery instead of cavalry. Depends on what you like to play with in a siege. It really is up to personal choice. But there you go, guys. That is the Harad unit overview. If you enjoyed, do remember to leave a like, subscribe if you're around here, and a comment to show your support. Feel free to join the Discord as well if you want to get involved in some Rise of Mordor action and you're struggling to find games. And I will see you guys in the next one.